Hello and welcome to Crimewatch. We are live for the next hour with lots of cases that we hope you can help to solve tonight. They include the tragic murders of 6 members of the Shakur family killed in an arson attack on their home in October.
I shouted a lot. There's a fire in my house. Please, somebody help.
And detectives from Greater Manchester are here tonight asking for witnesses to the shooting of 37-year-old Lee Erdman to come forward. He was murdered in a pub in front of more than 20 people.
After doing that to Lee, the gun is raised and essentially everyone that's here is threatened.
And officers from Surrey are hunting the armed gang who raided a home, terrifying the family inside.
I looked up at the door and in walked a guy with a gun. I'm laying there thinking, I don't want to die. And I was panicking for the girls. I thought something bad was going to happen.
And ex-cop Martin Bayfield is here with more wanted faces and CCTV.
Yes, I've got quite a collection tonight, including this guy, Jack Hummerstone, who detectives are urgently looking for in connection with a murder 11 days ago. With your help, we can find him tonight. And I've some unbelievable CCTV to show you. Can you name this crazed knife man who went on a rampage at a Manchester petrol station? And take a look at this guy who seems to know his way around vending machines. He even has keys to help him steal thousands of pounds in change. It's a safe bet. We'll know who he is before the end of the show.
And we have some great news on some of our previous cases, including this awful unprovoked attack on a teenage girl from our November programme. Well, this man was caught and convicted and sentenced to 4 years in prison. And we'll have the full story of how a man cold-heartedly arranged the murder of his wife, then callously played the part of the grieving husband in a Crimewatch interview filmed just a few days after the murder.
Please, somebody help me!
And I was still waiting. In a minute she'll walk through the door. In a minute she's gonna call me.
But first tonight, last autumn, police made an urgent appeal for information about a house fire in Essex, which killed a mother and her 5 children. Police are treating the deaths as murder and believe the family were burgled before the blaze. But 5 months on, they still need your help to find out who was responsible for the fire. Tonight, in an exclusive interview, the father, the only survivor, talks about the full horror of that night.
I shouted, there's a fire in my house. Please, somebody help. Please help me.
There's people inside.
Yeah.
Your family are inside.
Yeah. Please let me go in. Get back. Oh, get off the road, all right?
We're talking about seconds, the difference between life and death in these circumstances.
The fire's engulfed in the whole house. Yeah, so there's no way that these people are alive in there.
1, 2, 3, go! Very good.
This home video is the only remaining footage of the Shakur family. It was filmed not long before they moved to the UK in 2010.
What are you doing, Muneeb? Sohaib, don't go too deep, beta.
We have a same goal together, that for a bright future, and we need to struggle hard to raise our children in a nice environment. Sorry. So that was basically our future, to give a peaceful and safe future for our family, our kids. We were very, very happy.
This street in Barnmead in Harlow, Essex, had been home to the Shakurs for just 1 year. Abdul Shakur and his wife Saba, both from Pakistan, had come to the UK believing they could offer their children a better future. They could never have imagined that future would be cut so short. The 14th of October last year was an ordinary Sunday for the Shakurs. They'd done the weekly food shop, before the children had their tea and the older ones finished their homework. Devout Muslims, Dr. Shakur and two of his sons had been to the mosque to pray. By 9:30, the 5 children were upstairs in bed. And by 11:30, all the family were asleep.
We heard some of the noise, sudden noise.
Sabah! Sabah! Get up! Fire! Sabah! Fire! Fire!
And then we both immediately get out of the bed. There was smoke was really suffocating. Very, very dark, could not see anything. Someone started shouting, crying, help, help.
The situation was so desperate, Dr. Shakur felt the only way he could save his family was to get help.
Sabah told me, Shakur, please don't go. I said, Sabah, there's no time. I have to, for the kids, for the family, I have to take that risk.
Pharmacy service. There's people inside. Your family are inside.
I shouted a lot. Please help, please. Please help me.
No, stay outside. Right, can you stay outside? We are on our way.
Who's in there? My children.
Firefighters fought to save the family. This is previously unseen footage filmed by Essex Fire Service. But despite their best efforts, they couldn't rescue them in time. Dr. Shakur's wife, Saba Usmani, sons 6-year-old Rayan, 9-year-old Munib, 11-year-old Sahib, and daughter Hira, who was 12, all died that night.
This is the worst news for me. How can I lose my family in this way? My beloved wife, my friend, lost her. Beautiful kids, very, very happy, full of life.
The youngest child, 3-year-old Maheen, fought for her life for 3 days in intensive care. But she too succumbed to her injuries.
She was my only hope. I said, please don't take away this hope. I can't live. I'm losing everyone.
A mother and her 5 children all killed, and a father left grieving for his entire family. From the outset, police treated the blaze as suspicious. They believed someone deliberately started it and that the family were murdered.
I think the impression you get as soon as you walk in is the scale of the damage within this house and the actual heat that must have been generated.
Detective Superintendent Rob Vinson is leading the investigation.
Forensic scientists are saying that we believe the fire started at this back end here of the lounge, and that's when it's then spread through the rest of the house. Okay, we make our way upstairs. You can see by the damage around the door frames and the ceilings. It's difficult to try and imagine. Again, from a deep sleep to waking up to your house full of smoke, and the sheer panic that there must have been, really, to try and find where the children are on the top floor, and every second must feel like an hour. And when there's nobody there as you're calling out, then trying to make a decision to try and get help. And the only way is out through the window.
And all the time breathing in that smoke, which you can't take 2, 3, maybe 4 lungfuls before you're unconscious.
We're talking about seconds. The difference between life and death in these circumstances is literally just seconds.
It was unimaginable to me. I want the answer. Why my family? Why somebody has done that to ruin my life? And you can see I lost everything.
Well, I'm joined now by Detective Superintendent Rob Vincent, that you saw there in the film. Thanks for joining us again, indeed, because in the weeks after this horrific case, you made an urgent appeal on Crimewatch saying that you were treating the deaths as murder. Tonight, you particularly want more information about this fire nearby that was filmed on a mobile phone. Tell us more about that.
Yes, that's right. At the same time as the house that was on fire, there was a car that was alight, and it was literally just across the road, within 20 yards. It was a silver Ford Focus. It was a car that belonged to someone who lived in the area, a family that lived in the area. 2 fires on the same night at the same time. I need to speak to whoever can give me some information about how those fires started.
In the reconstruction, next to the fire of the car, we saw somebody on a bike. That person could be important. You got a good description of them.
Yeah, I need to trace an individual that was seen on a bike at the scene of these 2 fires. Now, he's described as a white male, late teens, possibly early 20s, wearing a hooded top. Now, he was seen to cycle off from Barnmead towards some playing fields. Now, I need to speak to whoever was that person on that bike, or if you know who that person was, or suspect you know who that person was, they could hold vital information.
Tell us a little bit more about this laptop, Dr. Shakur's laptop that was stolen from the house that night.
After the family went to bed that night, and before the fire spread through the house, there was a burglary at this house. The front door had been left, or was left wide open afterwards. A laptop had been stolen. Now, 11 days, it was a Toshiba black laptop. Now, 11 days later, in the area of St Michael's Close and Whiteweights in Harlow, a laptop case and a lead was found. Now, the lead in particular was interesting because it was a 2-pin lead,
right,
as it was purchased abroad. Now, what is significant is that there was a shaver socket that someone has put on the end of that lead to try and make it work.
Right.
If someone has lost a shaver socket, went missing at that sort of time, I need them to come forward. The Toshiba laptop is also still outstanding. Where is it? We need to know.
OK, that could be a really important part of the jigsaw for now, Rob. Thanks very much. Really, a truly tragic case, as you saw. There is, we think, undoubtedly someone watching tonight who's got information which could help to solve this case and bring at least some small comfort to Dr. Shakur. I would urge you to do the right thing and to call our studio now. The number is 0500 600 600. Or if you'd prefer, you can speak anonymously to Crime Stoppers. That's fine. Their number 0800 555 111. Now Martin has got the first of his wanted faces.
And we start tonight with the man we showed you at the beginning of the programme, 18-year-old Jack Hummerstone. Detectives urgently want to speak to him in relation to a murder which happened in Colchester 11 days ago. Hummerstone, who also uses the name Jack O'Reilly and JJ, has links to Islington in North London, to Colchester and Clacton in Essex, and to Cheshire. He's considered to be dangerous, so if you see him or know where he is, call 999 immediately. Next is Brian James Waite. The 42-year-old has been on the run since November 2006, when he escaped from North Sea Camp Prison in Lincolnshire, where he was serving an 11-year sentence for a robbery during which £25,000 was stolen from a security van. Waite, who also uses the aliases Michael Birch and Lee Lawton and sometimes calls himself Anthony, has a liver condition for which he may be receiving treatment. Now, detectives believe he's been using a forged passport with this picture to travel in and out of the country, possibly to Spain and the Netherlands, as well as to his own hometown of Leeds. Number 3 tonight is Simon Ronald Kinney. Detectives want to speak to the 48-year-old about a large-scale conspiracy to supply heroin. Kinney, who has a Liverpudlian accent, has links to Devon, Cornwall and Manchester, as well as to Merseyside. And lastly for now is Renar Skuja. Police want to speak to the 29-year-old in connection with the rape and assault of a woman in Lichfield in December 2010. Skuja, who's Latvian, is missing the tip of the little finger on his left hand. Now, all of tonight's faces are on the website, so if you know where they are, please call 0500 600 600. Or you can text 63399, type crime, leave a space, and then your message.
Now, Lee Erdman, a father of 5, was shot dead in a Salford pub almost a year and a half ago. The case is unusual because the police are convinced that they know who killed Lee. What they don't have is a full account of exactly what happened. Fear has, so far, prevented witnesses from speaking out. But we've now reconstructed the events of that night, some of which, as you can imagine, are graphic and violent, in the hope that someone will finally have the courage to come forward.
This pub has been derelict for over a year, abandoned. Beer glasses, crisp packets, upturned stools. It's been left exactly as it was on September the 10th, 2011. For the people who are here, it was a night they will never forget. In front of more than 20 people, Lee Erdman was murdered. He was shot around here, the bullet hitting him in the back and going through his heart. The violence that followed and the threats made to onlookers around here was so utterly terrifying that not one person phoned the emergency services. And detectives have hit a wall. No witnesses have come forward. It's as if the killing never actually happened. This appeal goes out to the people who were here that night and to the local community who've been living in fear ever since.
Lee Erdman had 5 children. 3 of them are still very young. But 6 years ago, he lost his daughter Jessica to cot death. The grief never left him.
Every time it was September, it was like a black cloud come over his head, because he used to ring me and say he was feeling a bit low, you know, every time it got near to a birthday. And, you know, that's why I went there.
We've been given access to the crime scene to retell the story of what police believe happened that night.
He'd been out most of the day, been to different pubs. Around 1:30 in the morning, he decides to get a taxi. He knows this place will be open. He'd been discussing it with various people during the day. It's not a place he would normally come to. Lee's from a different part of Salford, and there is rivalry between where Lee's from and from here. He has no argument with anyone. He circulates between the back bar and the front bar here. But most of that time is spent with one person, that being the person that kills him. If you were here and you knew them both, you would probably be a bit on edge and wonder what is happening, because there's sort of backslapping while they stood at the bar, which you just wouldn't expect from 2 people that don't know each other, never mind people where there might be some rivalry.
How did the gun get into the pub?
I think Lee arrives. The man that he's been talking to, or he was talking to here, sends out for the gun, and the gun is brought to the pub after he's here.
Take me through when it turned.
We don't know what actually springs it at that moment. What we do know is that Lee is over there with his back to his killer. Lee's actually lying here and he's already dead. The gunman walks over to him, calmly shoots him again in the chest. That bullet goes straight through Lee's body and ends up lodged here. He then stamps on Lee's face. Lee has quite a lot of facial damage here, so he stamped more than once. After doing that to Lee, the killer raises the gun. There's around 20 plus people still in the pub at the time. The gun is raised, and essentially everyone that's here is threatened.
The shooting lasted just minutes. It was witnessed by at least 20 people, yet not one of them called the police. Crucially, a hard drive containing the pub's CCTV was removed and is still missing. Police believe this is the gun exchange after the shooting, and this, the getaway. Later that morning, some drinkers from the pub drove Lee's body to A&E.
Yeah, I hope you don't go before me. That's what he used to say. And I used to say, why is that? You've got your whole life ahead of you, when it turned out to be not the case. I can't tell him what really happened. I can only just say, you know, your daddy's gone to heaven. And they're still asking for him today.
Within days, graffiti appeared in the Ordsall estate. Messages from the local gang intimidating witnesses into fear and silence. But now police believe the threat has been removed, and Lee's family have faith that people will come forward.
And I just hope that somebody's got the heart and the guts to just speak out. But we'll have to wait and see.
Well, maybe tonight's the night. Detective Superintendent John Chadwick, who you saw in the film, joins us here. Violence of the most extreme sort, John. It's not a stretch, is it, to understand why people are so fearful about coming forward?
No, I understand exactly why people didn't come forward at the time. But local people know that a lot's changed in Ordsall since the time of Lee's death. That group of criminals that were causing so much fear in this community, they've been removed now. People will remember the murder of Anush Bidve, the Indian student killed nearby on Boxing Day just 3 months after Lee. But that crime was solved by people from this same community. They were fearful of coming forward at the time as well. But it shows that if people work with the police, they can give evidence safely and they can move on with their lives afterwards. That's what needs to happen here.
OK. Two important parts of the jigsaw that you don't yet have. One is the weapon, another one is the CCTV from the pub.
Yeah, that's right. We're still looking for the weapon that was used to kill Lee. That's a metallic coloured revolver, and the full CCTV hard drive was stolen from the pub at the time of the murder by Lee's killers. There's a substantial reward for recovery of either of those two items and a £50,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of those people responsible. I would stress that all of those rewards can be claimed anonymously as well.
We saw Lee's mum there talking about somebody needing to have the heart and the guts to come forward. What about his wider family? Given that you believe you know who it was that murdered him, how are they coping under the circumstances?
Yeah, all of Lee's family are well aware who killed him, and I've spent time with them quite regularly since Lee's death. What strikes you about all of them is that they absolutely cannot move on with their lives until the person responsible for this has been prosecuted. Okay. Now, there are over 20 people who were there that night, saw exactly what happened to Lee. Any one of those people can bring this to an end for Pat and for Lee's family.
OK, John, thanks very much. If you were there that night and have until now stayed quiet, please do think again. You can call the studio now. It's the usual number, 0500 600 600. Over to Martin.
Time for some CCTV now, starting with a bank robbery in Lancashire earlier this month. It's around 7 p.m. on Tuesday the 5th of March, inside the Santander Bank on Clifton Street in Lytham. A security guard waits inside while his colleague carries in the cash boxes. As the door opens, the pair are surprised by two masked men wielding a crowbar and a machete. The attackers threaten the guards and force them to hand over more than £19,000. The men made off in this stolen Skoda Octavia, which they later abandoned. Now, they may be masked, but someone knows who they are. Tell us tonight. Two men are hanging around Lewisham train station at around 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night last September. As a train waits at the station, the pair walk along the platform. One of the men, wearing a rather snazzy check jacket, spots a passenger through the window who's on his phone. The guy in the checks gets on board and grabs the passenger's mobile before sprinting off. Time to name this not-so-great train robber. Who is he? A Wednesday afternoon, also last September, on a residential street in Blackburn. CCTV from a private house films a red Vauxhall Astra VXR driving around and eventually stopping outside. A man in a distinctive pattern cap gets out and approaches the house. He rings the doorbell, and after getting no response, he rejoins his friends and they park up the car. The four of them walk up the side passage, giving us some nice shots of their faces. The man in the cap acrobatically climbs over the back gate before letting his mates through. Two of them then try to force open the back door with a couple of crowbars, but these crooks aren't having much luck and are forced to retreat after failing to get in. But they're determined to have one last go, this time trying to prise open the front door. However, they get more than they bargained for, and a bit of a fright when the homeowner opens it, hurling her slipper at them as they flee, which one of them hurls back at her. Cheeky beggar. Police think these bungling burglars were targeting houses which might contain Asian jewellery. Be a gem and tell us who they are. Lots more CCTV still to come, and you can see it all again on the Crimewatch website. Call 0500 600 600 if you can help, or text 63399, type crime, leave a space and then your message.
Time for an update on some of our previous cases now, starting with an excellent result from November. We showed you this shocking CCTV, a man punching a teenage girl in an unprovoked attack in Plaistow High Street in London. Well, last month, 35-year-old Michael Aode of Plaistow was found guilty of this and a similar offence and sentenced to a total of 4 years. A great result.
Next, the latest on the shooting of 21-year-old Rico Gordon, an innocent bystander who died after being caught in the crossfire of a gun battle between two rival gangs after the St Paul's Carnival in Bristol in July 2011. Last September, we reported that two men responsible for killing Rico, Shaka Anderson and Raquel Adams, had been sentenced to life in prison. Well, earlier this month, 3 more men were jailed for assisting them. Londoners Sean Youngsom, who is 26, 28-year-old Courtney Ellis and 29-year-old Tafari Adams were all sentenced to 7 years after helping the murderers flee the scene. Excellent news.
Finally, for now, yet another great example of what can happen when you pick up the phone. In July last year, we appealed for your help in finding John Jambu, who was wanted for raping a woman at knife point in 2010. Well, as a direct result of calls to the programme, Jambu was found that night hiding inside the base of a bed in a house in Croydon. He was convicted of rape and last week was sentenced to 7 years in prison. A fantastic result, and it just goes to show that your calls really do make a difference.
Right, still to come tonight, the father held at gunpoint as he tried to protect his family from an armed gang.
I was laying face down on the bed and they put the pillow over my head and I was suffocating, I was struggling to breathe. And I was thinking to myself, they're going to kill me now. They're going to shoot me in the head.
And Matthew has the story of the husband who appealed on Crimewatch for viewers to help catch his wife's killer, but who'd actually arranged the murder himself.
When are you leaving?
I'll be out the door in 5 minutes.
Where are you going?
I'll be back in just 20 minutes, okay?
I feel so disappointed in myself that I didn't see through him when all along he's actually killed my sister.
But first, it's time for some more Wanted Faces with Martin.
And we start this section with Malcolm Leonard Brown. The 35-year-old, who also uses the name Alfie Stokes, is wanted in connection with a number of serious sexual assaults against young children. Brown, who has links to Milton Keynes and Northampton, has a tattoo on each of his wrists, the letters L and J on his left wrist and a tribal design on his right one. Number 6 is Sudan Murray. Detectives want to speak to him about 2 assaults against his former partner, one of which happened when she was 5 months pregnant. The 31-year-old has links to London and Cardiff and is described as having a strong London accent. Next is James or Jimmy Gray. Police want to talk to the 23-year-old about a variety of offences, including an incident where a man was kicked and punched in the head and a burglary during which the victim was threatened with a knife. Gray, who has links to Tilbury in Essex, has a tattoo on the back of his neck and a scar on the back of his left hand. He's considered to be dangerous, so if you know where he is, call 999 immediately. Call and text the usual numbers if you recognise any of tonight's faces, and of course, they're all online.
Now let's travel to Surrey, where a family were held up at gunpoint in their own home by a violent gang. The husband and wife and their 2 teenage daughters are struggling to put the awful ordeal behind them, but hope that tonight someone will call in and give names to the men in balaclavas.
Let's go get some breakfast. So I can't sit.
The house was our domain, our kingdom. It was our sanctuary.
There you are, darling. Oh, thank you. Do you want some toast? Oh, yes.
It's with me every second.
Can we go shopping tomorrow? What time?
When I think about what my girls must have seen, it's horrendous.
This is the home of John and Tracy in Newchapel in rural Surrey. The couple have worked hard to make it a happy haven in which to raise their 2 teenage daughters.
We're a close family, and when we shut the gates, we're in our own world. You don't see many people, and we chose that. We wanted the best and the safest place for the girls, and that's why we chose this area and obviously this location.
Do we have to watch it?
Yes, it's funny.
I pay for this telly, you know.
The evening of the 11th of June last year was a typical one for John and his family.
Oh yeah, good day.
I went to bed approximately 9:30, 9:45, and Tracy came about 10:30, 11.
Come on, Bonnie. Do you want to go out? Come on. Go on, Bonnie. Come on.
We left the girls downstairs. They normally stay up 12, 1 o'clock watching their soaps, which they've recorded, and then they came to bed as usual. I was awoken to a noise. I looked up at the door and in walked a guy with a gun.
Where's the money?
Pointing it at my head.
Where's the money?
Where's the money? Where's the safe? Where's the safe? Well, you'll get it. I was dragged out of bed. I was nude. I was shaking. I didn't know. I wasn't awake properly.
John handed over cash and jewellery from the safe, but his attackers weren't satisfied.
Below the safe was a Rolex box, and these guys were demanding, "Where's the watch? Where's the watch? I'll shoot you if you don't tell me." I basically said it could be in the kitchen, so the guy with the shotgun put the gun to my head and marched me down the corridor.
The gang ransacked the girls' belongings for valuables before dragging them out of their beds and into their parents' room.
At the bottom of the stairs, there was another guy with a gun, and the guy said to me, "If the dog moves, I'm going to shoot it." I looked at the dog was terrified, she was cowling on the floor, she was no threat to them.
There's money! There's money here! There's money here!
I thought to myself, just do what they want, get them out of my house. And I looked around where I thought the watch was and couldn't find it. I was panicking.
Move! Where's the watch? I don't know!
With the family already terrified, the masked men were about to take their threats even further.
Where's the watch? I don't know! Where's the watch? Where's the watch?
Get on the bed, he said to me, and he tried to tie my hands up, which he didn't do very successfully. I was laying face down on the bed, and they put the pillow over my head and I was suffocating, I was struggling to breathe. And I could hear so much noise in the bedroom. It was chaos. And then I remember them saying to the girls, "We're going to cover you up, don't look." And I was thinking to myself, they're going to kill me now. They're going to shoot me in the head.
Keep it quiet, keep it quiet.
I'm laying there thinking, I don't want to die. I can't die this way. And I was panicking for the girls. I thought something bad was going to happen.
Get the kettle! Come on, get.
And I remember one of them shouted out, "Get the kettle, we're burning."
Things were now truly desperate. John knew he had to do something fast.
Where's the watch?
One of my hands was coming loose. So what I did is I jumped up and shouted out, "There's someone at the gates, I can hear the buzzer. I can hear the buzzer." They panicked and shouted out, "There's a light outside at the gate, someone's here." And within seconds, they run down my corridor. And it was as if the whole room was emptied of air.
Are you all right?
The most likely escape route for the gang was through one of these surrounding fields, as the electric gates leading to the house remained locked all night.
Hello? We've been burgled.
What I feel about the girls, what they went through, it's hard to explain. It's sad. It hurts for Dad.
My husband.
It feels as if they've cut me open and ripped out my heart and left me like that. That's how it feels. I feel gutless. I feel empty. We get wrapped up in our own lives of college, of work, of paying bills, and these people are out there targeting people like us, working people, and just think they can come and help themselves to what we've worked for. They've got no morals and no respect.
Well, I'm joined now by Detective Inspector Anthony Archibald. John was so articulate there about the horrors that his family went through. I mean, this is really something appalling that they've suffered in their own home.
Yes, it was, Kirsty. It was a really horrendous ordeal. John literally thought he was going to be shot dead in front of his wife and daughters. Since the incident, they've upped the security measures around the house, but up until fairly recently, they were all sleeping in the same room at night because they've been so terrified. Take me through what you know. What was actually stolen? Well, unusually, there was a large amount of money in the house, and that was thousands of pounds were stolen from the safe. A lot of jewellery was taken, including a men's Rolex Yachtmaster watch. The offenders appeared to be arguing about this whilst they were carrying out the raid, and I believe that one of them has actually taken the watch without the others knowing.
Right, OK.
Yeah.
There was also quite a distinctive Louis Vuitton bag.
It was. The Louis Vuitton bag was taken, which is what they put all the jewellery in to take away.
Do you think it's the case that the gang actually targeted the house?
I do. The house is located in a very rural area, as we can see on the map here. The house is surrounded by fields, so we think the offenders would have made their access and escape route across the fields into either West Park Road or Bones Lane, which is just within sort of half a mile of the A22 Eastbourne Road.
Right. They were wearing some pretty distinctive stuff. Just take us through these gloves here.
They were all dressed exactly the same,
right.
and we're all wearing these fairly distinctive gloves, all exactly the same. So, you know, and I've got no doubt they would have conducted a recce of this location beforehand. So yes, it was organised. OK, Anthony, for now, thanks very much. You saw there in the film how that night is still very much affecting John and his wife and his two girls. If you can help, please, I would urge you to do the right thing and pick up the phone tonight. There is a £2,000 Crime Stoppers reward, and John's family have offered £3,000 on top of that. As ever, it's 0500 600 600 here in the studio. I should tell you there is also the victim support line if you need to call that tonight. This month it marks its 15th year of service. They are on 0845 30 30 900. OK, now Matthew, I think, has got the latest on what's coming in so far on the phones. Matthew.
Kirsty, it is busy on the floor. Calls about the Essex fire coming in, also calls about the murder of Lee Erdman in Salford. Let's interrupt John. And John, I know you've taken a number of very interesting calls. Tell me.
Yeah, we've taken quite a number of calls already. A number of them naming the person responsible for Lee's murder. As we said in the film, we know who killed Lee. What I really need is for someone that was actually there to make contact. Obviously, anything people tell us will be treated in the strictest confidence. Someone wants to ring me personally, I'm fine, I'll talk to anyone. We really need to speak to someone for the sake of Lee's family.
All right, so John is here waiting for you to call. Martin.
Time now for more CCTV, starting with a terrifying attack at a petrol station in Manchester, which happened on a Friday evening last month. A man dressed in a dark jacket and hoodie walks up to a car parked on the garage forecourt. He tries the door, but it's locked, so he goes for a blunter approach, attempting to smash his way in using a large knife. And when that fails, he tries to kick the window in. He gives up and walks across the forecourt, where he turns his attention to a taxi waiting at one of the pumps. He smashes the windscreen with the handle of his knife, while the terrified driver is still at the wheel. He then attacks the Renault Megane parked in front, even climbing into the car briefly before having another go. He skips back to the first car, which he batters one last time before making off. Do you recognise the knife man in the distinctive Union flag hoodie? Tell us who he is before he seriously hurts someone. It's a Monday evening last August. Two masked men wearing hoodies approach the Londis store in Manor Close in Thamesmead. As soon as they get inside, one of the men, wearing the darker grey top, grabs a member of staff and holds a hatchet-type weapon to his throat. He marches him through the store, grabbing a second shop assistant as he goes. The attacker then forces the two terrified men into the storeroom, where he orders them to hand over the takings. While this is going on, the second man is at the front of the shop, where he threatens the female cashier with a knife and tells her to empty the till. Having got what they came for, the two men then run off. They took several £1,000s in the raid, but there's a £5,000 reward for information leading to their conviction. It's time to shop them tonight. A man in dark clothing carrying a rucksack walks through the grounds of the Palatine Road campus of Blackpool and Fylde College on a Friday afternoon last month. But it's not studying he's interested in, it's stealing. He strolls into the main building before heading through the corridors to the vending machine area on the first floor. He has a look around, and after a few minutes, when the coast is clear, he opens up the machine using what appears to be a set of keys. He empties the cash trays from the three machines into his rucksack before making off. He did the same with two other machines in a different part of the college, taking more than £1,500 in total. We need you to study his image carefully and tell us his name. Inside a jeweller's shop in Sevenoaks in Kent on a Monday morning last July. A man in a light-coloured top comes in and asks to see a diamond ring worth almost £8,000 from a display in the window, even going outside to point it out. As the jeweller shows him the ring, the would-be shopper seems to dither. But he suddenly becomes very decisive as he grabs it and runs out. In his haste, he knocked over an elderly woman who fractured her hip. Be a diamond and tell us who he is. All tonight's CCTV is online, and if you recognise anyone, please call and text the numbers on screen.
Right, time for some more updates, starting with an appeal from last month when a man was suspected of indecently assaulting two young girls in a shop in the Penlan area of Swansea last July. Well, the day after the programme, 52-year-old Stephen Frank Hansen from Cocket in Swansea was arrested. He's been charged with 2 counts of sexual touching. He denies the charges and is due to stand trial next month.
Next, an update from another appeal from our last programme. We showed you CCTV of a man being punched on the dance floor of a nightclub in Truro, which also happened last July. Following the show, a 26-year-old man was arrested and has been charged with causing grievous bodily harm. He's due to appear in court later in the year.
This is Special Constable Nisha Patel. She was murdered on the doorstep of her London home back in May of 2006. Well, just 9 days after the murder, her husband, Fadi, took part in an emotional interview with Crimewatch in the hope that an appeal on the programme would help solve the case. But not everything was as it seemed.
You all right, love? Hello, hi. We need an ambulance, please, urgently.
Oh my God!
Please, come quick.
Nisha!
She was always helpful towards people. She always liked to try to be there for everyone.
Nisha had been stabbed in the groin and had bled to death. She was just 29 years old. Nisha worked as a hairstylist, but in her spare time volunteered as a special constable. Her former colleagues, now investigating her murder, were baffled. Why would anyone want her dead? Her husband, Fardy, made an emotional appeal for information on Crimewatch.
We're in shock at the moment. Hasn't even sunk in. We're still waiting. In a minute she'll walk through the door. In a minute she's going to call me.
Nisha and Fardy had met through a friend. 8 months later, they were engaged. To the outside world, they appeared a happy couple. The night before she was killed had been their 3rd anniversary. It was to be their last night together. Confronted with the scene of her murder the following day, detectives were seemingly dealing with a random attack.
It was clear there had been no forced entry.
Daddy?
So the initial thought was that Nisha had come out of the house and confronted someone and been stabbed.
With no eyewitnesses and no forensics, priority number 1 was finding the murder weapon. A knife matching the fatal stab wound was missing from the kitchen. Had Nisha armed herself before going outside to investigate the disturbance?
That knife became absolutely pivotal. At that stage, I believe that the offender may well have snatched it from Nisha. So he hadn't arrived with the knife, so therefore he hadn't really got a plan to dispose of it. So I felt he would discard it sooner or later. He wouldn't have kept it with him because he wouldn't know what to do with it.
DCI Scholar ordered a meticulous search of the streets around Nisha's home. And it paid off. 2 weeks later, they found the knife in a blocked drain in a nearby road. Had whoever dumped it been caught on CCTV?
There was a CCTV camera, but it was facing away from the drain. But what that camera did show was a parked car about 10 feet in front of the drain. And you could clearly see 2 or 3 minutes after Nisha's murdered, a car pulls up at that drain. You see the headlights reflecting on the parked car. It stops there for approximately 7 seconds before moving off. I was very confident that that was the car that actually stopped to deposit the knife down the drain.
Vehicle experts worked out that it was a silver Audi. It had a broken rear number plate light and a distinctive aerial that didn't come as standard. Police immediately began looking for that specific car.
But they were still struggling to find a motive, and Fardy wasn't considered a suspect. He'd been on his way to play snooker with a friend when the attack happened. But did someone hold a grudge against Nisha or even Fardy? To help eliminate the people they both knew, officers asked if they could look at Fardy's phone.
I'd like to take away your mobile phone if that's possible, just to check out, all
my
of those
mobile
contacts.
phone. I just began to research Fardy's contacts and people he knew, and in doing so, came across Roger Leslie.
Leslie was a known criminal with a string of convictions for violent offences.
Roger, it's Fardy.
So why was Fardy Nasri associating with a man like him?
Roger Leslie had been in telephone contact with Nasri an awful lot in the days and weeks running up to this incident, and in particular on the day of the incident itself.
But on the day in question, Leslie was nowhere near the crime scene and so couldn't have carried out Nisha's murder. But phone records revealed a pattern pointing towards someone who might have been responsible.
Every time Leslie was in contact with Nasri, shortly before or shortly afterwards, he was in contact with another phone that was owned by Tony Emanuel.
Tony Emanuel was a nightclub promoter. Intriguingly, records for the night placed him near the murder scene. What's more, police discovered that he drove a silver Audi, complete with defective rear number plate light and a distinctive roof-mounted aerial. Emanuel would later admit that he'd been hired by a man called Jason Jones to drive to Nisha's house. Jones was a nightclub bouncer with 76 previous convictions. Emmanuel maintained throughout that he had no idea that Jones was going to attack Nisha.
Just you wait here, yeah?
Thinking instead that he was driving to a drug deal. It was now time to confront Fadi Nasri.
We have arrested 3 men for the murder of Nisha.
I've never seen anything like it before. He burst into tears and broke down.
Police decided to take a closer look into his background. Fadi claimed to be earning £150,000 a year from his limousine company. But in reality, his business was in trouble and he'd run up 6-figure debts.
It's nice to see you again.
Nisha was working 7 days a week to keep the company from going under.
I've been waiting for 7 hours.
No, you want to talk. Why don't you sit down and talk?
Fadi knew that a divorce would have meant ruin for him. Without Nisha's money, he'd never be able to maintain the lavish lifestyle he'd grown accustomed to.
Nisha and Fadi Nasri had taken out life policies on each other. With Nisha's death, clearly he stood to benefit.
Setting up home with his mistress, Fadi began planning how to spend the insurance payout. But he wasn't finished there. Nisha was entitled to half the value of her late parents' home. Just 5 months after her death, Fadi instructed lawyers to try to extract this money from Nisha's brother, Caton.
For somebody to come and demand money shows that his whole motive was to do with finances.
It was clear that he would benefit in the region of at least £500,000 through Nisha's death.
At last, police had what looked like a motive. This is what they now believe actually happened.
Knowing his reputation, Fadi asked Leslie to orchestrate his wife's murder and provided him with keys to the house so the killer could let himself in. Leslie then hired Jason Jones to carry out the actual murder. And Jones hired Tony Emmanuel to drive to the scene, making up a cover story that it was to be a drugs deal. Because of that, Emmanuel was later found not guilty in court. All Fadi had to do was create an alibi for himself.
I was wondering, what do you like for a snooker game later this week?
And make sure that Nisha would be home all evening. Phone calls fly back and forth between Fadi and Leslie and Jones throughout the day, possibly checking all the last-minute details. At around 10:30, Emmanuel's silver Audi travels down the North Circular Road in London and stops around 3 miles from Nisha's home, presumably waiting for instructions to move in.
When you leaving?
I'm out the door in 5 minutes.
It's about to leave. Move in 5. Understood.
Sorry, darling, something has once come up.
Where are you going?
I'll be back in just 20 minutes, okay?
Fadi?
I'll be back shortly.
Let's go.
Please, somebody help me!
Hello?
It's done.
Nasri's lies had been exposed. The husband, who'd made such a convincing appeal on Crimewatch, was arrested and charged with his wife's murder.
I feel so disappointed in myself that I didn't see through him when all along he's actually killed my sister. He's just a malicious man who was able to fool everyone.
Able to fool everyone, almost.
Yes, this was the ultimate betrayal, chillingly planned. He hired a hitman, took out life insurance, planned an alibi, and played the grieving widower, and almost got away with it. It's worth seeing a little more of that original Crimewatch appeal, because now we know what he did, you can see just how cunning he was.
They must be very guilty, and through the guilt, it could have been an accident. You know, I mean, it could have been self-defense, it could have been anything. then I'm hoping it will come forward.
Cunning, yeah. Arrogant also. That was the thing that did for him in the end, along with this dogged policing all the way through.
Yes, finding the knife was crucial.
Yeah.
The knife gave them the CCTV, which gave them the car, which gave them one of the gang, then the rest of the gang, and then the first links to Nasri. So that was vital. Also, he got too cocky. He'd been involved in a business deal that had gone sour. The business partner had left a furious message on his answer phone, threatening all sorts of things. Now, he played that to detectives to throw them off the scent, but when they went through the phone, that's when they found the picture of his mistress. And from that moment, everything looked different. 3 of the gang got life. Fadi Nasri, the cold-blooded husband, he won't be out for 20 years at least. Result.
Thank you, Matthew. Right, now it's time for a last very quick update on what's come in on the phones. Here's Martin.
Well, we've already had some encouraging calls relating to that tragic Essex fire where Dr. Shakur's wife and children were murdered. We've had 3 possible names for who might have been responsible and some calls giving possible sightings for that stolen laptop. Please do keep those calls coming in. Wanted face number 4, Renar Scooger. Quite a few calls giving of possible locations and workplaces for him. And Leonard Brown, Malcolm Leonard Brown, wanted face number 5. Again, locations of where he might be working.
Right, that sort of thing for now. Remember, though, all of tonight's reconstructions, the CCTV, the wanted faces, all on our website. bbc.co.uk/crimewatch also features an appeal to trace the driver of a Volvo involved in a fatal hit and run. It killed a 16-year-old, Jade Clark, in Dorset last month. You can also stay up to date with how the cases progress via Twitter. Follow at BBC Crimewatch. The phone lines are going to stay open until midnight tomorrow. We're going to be back again tonight at 10:40 after the news with the very latest. Viewers in Northern Ireland will have to wait until 11:50. From all of us here, thanks very much for watching and calling. Bye-bye.